this crazy world, it's so hard to unwind. So I'm taking time just for me. Gonna find my peace, let my soul be free. In the quiet moments, that's where I'll find a little room to breathe and leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe.
A great new day to all my self-care friends and family. Welcome back to another Room to Breathe podcast. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so happy that you made space to be here with us today. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I need for you to do me a quick favor. If you are feeling the vibe, go ahead and show us some love. Tap the screen, like, comment. Most importantly, I need for everyone to share this out with someone who could use a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that follow button. Subscribe to our channel so that way you're always tapped in when a new episode drops. I also encourage you to visit our website at theselfcareclub.org, where you will find everything you need from affirmative apparel to motivational merch, as well as a ton of free resources to help nourish your growth and remind you that you are supported every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today, I encourage you to give yourself permission to pause, to make space for peace, for growth, and most importantly, for you. And remember, if anything in today's episode hits home, be sure to drop those green hearts in the chat. That is our community's way of saying I am healing, I am growing, and I am showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Family, on our show today, we are joined by Coach Melissa Wellman. She is the founder of Unshakable Purpose, Breaking the Cycles, a faith-centered movement dedicated to helping women who have felt unseen, unheard, and emotionally overextended. And she is helping them to reclaim their identity and step boldly into who God created them to be. Melissa's work is deeply personal. Her journey began in seasons marked by rejection, abandonment, and identity struggles. Experiences that could have easily silenced her voice or caused her to shrink. But instead of letting those moments define her, she allowed them to refine her. Through faith, self-reflection, and the courage to confront the cycles that were quietly shaping her life, Melissa began the work of healing from the inside out. And today, she uses that journey to empower other women to do the same. Her message is simple but powerful. You cannot step fully into who God created you to be while continuing to abandon yourself for the comfort of others. So, family, help me welcome Coach Melissa into the Room to Breathe. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing amazing. I am so thankful and grateful that you are here with us today. And I'm super excited to jump into your story. But before we do that, I want to check in with your soul. How is your spirit doing today, Queen?
I am great. I am just grateful for the opportunity, but just grateful that I am in a space now to where I am free to be. Just free to be who God has created me to be. No more or no longer bound by shackles, no longer bound by the repeated cycles in my life, where I am just living out my soul purpose now. And I'm grateful.
Yes, life hit different when you walking in your purpose, right?
Right.
I know when I really started my faith walk, I would look back and be like, girl, we was living in the ghetto. Like, what were we doing back there? It's such a different feeling. And I honestly wish that more people could experience it, because life just looks different, feels different, like water tastes different,
Right.
Yeah. Now, Coach Melissa, I like to begin conversations by grounding us in the journey because every, purpose story starts somewhere. So, can you take us back to the season of life that first made you realize something within you needed to change?
Absolutely. Taking you all back, my journey started with actually coming to the realization that the shackles, the cycles that played on repeat in my life were abandonment, dealing with abandonment, dealing with rejection, dealing with low self esteem, dealing with not being heard, not knowing who I really am, my identity, dealing with identity crisis. So it all stemmed from there. And it wasn't until I actually went on my healing journey to where I was able to be awakened to who I really am, my identity. So just going through many years of just struggling of who I am and going on those that repeated cycles of low self-esteem, people pleasing, overthinking, overgiving, self-doubt. So all of that played a role in my journey of just even the choices that down to the choices that I made. So just not really being happy with myself, waking up in the morning and looking in the mirror and not really knowing who I am. Who is this young lady standing in front of me in the mirror? And like I said, it wasn't until I was awakened when I went on my spiritual healing journey to really discover that I am not abandonment. I am not what a rejection tried to put on me. I'm not what, life tried to put on me. I'm not the family dynamics. I am who God says that I am. So that's where I'm at today.
Yeah. And a lot of women who listen to this podcast, honestly, probably men and women, but a lot of people who listen to this podcast know what it feels like to be the strong one, the dependable one, the one who keeps showing up even when they feel invisible. What did that season of feeling unseen or unheard look like for you personally?
It looked like a voice wanting to get out, wanting to be heard, but not being able to do so. Because I remember even back as a child coming up, I used to be the one, the go-to person. People would come to me with their problems, would come to me, and ask my opinion or, just to even for me just to listen. And with me listening to them, I had so much turmoil going on inside of me. And I was like, okay, I am this person that's willing to listen to others, but who is going to listen to me? All of that pain that I had bottled up inside. And really at that time, in that juncture in my life, I didn't know where all of that stuff was stemming from. So, because I was raised up in a home where what goes on in this home stays in this home. I wasn't raised to where was able to just come home from dealing with a rough day at school, being bullied in school, being teased in school. I wasn't able to walk in the home and sit at the table and say, okay, this is what I experienced in my day. This is what my heart is carrying. This is what my soul is carrying. And I wasn't able to let that stuff out, but still putting on that smiling face, still, being that go-to person for everybody else. And then that's where the spirit of people pleasing opened up the door to where I began to worry so much about other people and their feelings and allow my feelings and what I was dealing with to be put on the back burner.
Yeah, that disease to please, right? I think that
Right.
gets so many of us, especially like you said, when we're not taught how to express our feelings. And somehow we learn how to express our feelings, but we don't. We encourage other people to come to us and express theirs, right? Like we want to fix everybody because deep down, I think we're just really hoping somebody comes along and helps to fix us. So we
Right.
become, what we want to see in the world. But sadly, the world doesn't always give it back to us, at least not in those early stages. And so I know that at some point along, the healing journey, I believe that for everybody, there is this moment where awareness shows up. the
Mhm.
moment where we realize surviving isn't the same as living. Like it's just like something clicks and you're like, there's more to this. I'm curious, when did you begin to realize that healing for you meant breaking cycles, not just pushing through them?
That pivotal moment in my life happened, I would say, about going back 5 years ago, where I had just hit a bump in the road to where I was just like, okay, enough is enough. I got tired of repeating the same cycles, doing it in my own strength, doing it in my own way, and not getting nowhere fast. I got tired of being on that hamster wheel of life, like just repeatedly going in circles. So I had a moment where I had to just sit down with myself. And when I went to the Lord in prayer and cried out to Him about 5 years ago and said, Lord, I need you. This cannot be the life that you have for me. And when I said that prayer, just that simple prayer in my home, just me and the Lord, my tissue, me bawling in tears, crying, and just a heart of surrender because I was tired. But I knew it was more. You ever had that feeling in your soul where you know that you may be in a season of your life where you're tired of being sick and tired, and you may want to give you up. Your flesh may want to give up, but your soul, your spirit man won't allow you to give up. And that's where I was at in my life, but I didn't know to the magnitude of why I was experiencing the lot of things that I was experiencing. And it all stemmed back to childhood, those deep seated, rooted things that the enemy used as a foothold to try to keep me from being awakened to who I really am in Christ and to be able to walk fully in my purpose and what God is doing in my life today. So I'm grateful, just overjoyed. And as I look back on it now, I thank the Lord. I thank God for the adversity. I thank the Lord for those moments in my life and even getting up to that pivotal moment to where I just had that breakdown to where I said, okay, I'm in a posture of surrender now.
Yeah.
I'm tired of trying to do this thing on my own because I see where it's gotten me. It's gotten me in repeated failed relationships. It's got me in repeated heartbreak, brokenness, and not loving myself to the full capacity that the Lord would desire and have for me to love myself. So I said, okay, I had to go within and quit pointing the finger at everybody else, playing that blame game, right? To where
Right.
I had to point that finger back at me and said, okay, Lord, I'm tired of running. I'm
Yeah.
here. Whatever you need me to do, whatever you are having me to do in this moment, this season in my life, whatever I have to give up, whatever people I have to say, okay, I got to take a break.
Yeah.
It just got that serious with me in that moment about 5 years ago. And when I say at that moment, all my problems didn't go away, but the heaviness that began to lift up off of me, I began to see like I was like the way I can explain it is like a child that's inside of a grown-up body, tucked away in the corner, afraid, just crying, wanting out, screaming to get out.
Yeah.
But then when I go to the Lord in prayer and surrender, truly in surrender, it's like He picked me up, held my hand spiritually, held my hand and began to say, okay, daughter, you ready to do this now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go on this journey together. And it was
Yeah.
like we got up and just walked. And as we continued to walk on this journey, it was like He was bringing me out of the darkness into the light. And He began to pull off
Mm-hmm.
layers of trauma, layers of hurt, even things that I had forgot about that I must have suppressed. That He began to bring those things up because it had to come up because it was so deep rooted. So He had to bring those things up to be able to peel off. And I use the analogy a lot about an onion. We know we have an onion, right? And the
Yeah.
onion can be beneficial, but then it also has its cons too, because we know the onion stinks, right? And with that analogy, when the Lord gave me that analogy of the onion, it has so many layers. And he had to begin to pull those layers off my life of what I went through, the betrayal, the abandonment, the spirit of rejection, not feeling loved, not feeling wanted, not feeling heard. And he had to pull that off of me, begin to peel those layers off of me, and begin to replace that with my identity in him. He took me to the word of God, to where he led me to different scriptures to remind me, daughter, it is written. This is I've written this book was written, this blueprint was written for you. So anytime that you're feeling down, anytime that you're faced with something that you don't understand, you can come right back here and know that I'm here, I'm with you, I'm walking with you, and I'm carrying you, that your identity is in me, not in what the enemy tried to put on you, tried to put on your life to take you out of here, to keep you from walking in what I would have you to walk in. But know that the rejection don't have you, the abandonment don't have you, the low self-esteem don't have you, the people pleasing don't have you, the trauma that you endured don't have you. Yes, I allowed it to happen for a reason, because I have a remnant that you are called to when it's time for me to raise you up. But I had to allow you to go through these things, because for you to see that I am the one, I am that I am. I am the one that will bring you out of whatever you may be going through. As long as you continue to seek me and believe and have the faith that these things you can be delivered from. So I thank God for freedom now. I thank God for deliverance. And I thank God for the awakening that I share so much with the people that I do come in contact with.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always interesting to me when I have these conversations, because when we go back to the beginning, and we get to that turning point, I feel like a lot of people's turning point happened in the early 2020s.
Yes.
And again, if we're being honest, I mean, the 2020s did a number on all of us, when the world shut down, and we were forced to address what was happening in the houses, and so I think that for many people that season, it tested us, but for a lot of us, it has become our turning point. It forced a lot of people to slow down and really look at their lives, because we weren't so busy with what was happening outside of the home. And so now, we're stuck in the house questioning what we're carrying, what we're tolerating, and, who we're becoming in the process. And I think that one of the most powerful things, that came from that is a lot of people's turning points, and that's one of the things that you teach, right? Is that we can't fully step into what God is creating us, or creating for us, to be, while we're still abandoning ourselves along the way, continuing to shrink and overextend, or even silencing our needs just to keep everybody else comfortable. What is self-abandonment, or I'm sorry, what does self-abandonment actually look like in everyday life for women who may not even realize that they're doing it?
Self-abandonment for me, what it looks like is, you have been called to something greater. You know that you've been called to a purpose, whatever that is, and however that may look like for any given, woman. And you've abandoned it because you don't want to take the time to sit with yourself. And that's what I learned through this journey, through this process. It's taking the time to pause. We can be on go, 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 and miss the very move of God, miss the very thing that he desires to do in our life, because we don't take that time to sit with ourselves, to go within and begin to allow him to do what he needs to do in order to propel and catapult us into the next level that he would have for us to do in our lives. So I would say abandonment would look like knowing that you are struggling with something, knowing that you need deliverance from something, knowing that you need a deeper healing with something, and refusing to take that time to pause, refusing to take that time to sit down and go within and deal whatever that may be that you need to deal with in order to be able to go into your next.
Yeah. And, the truth of the matter is, I think that many people stay stuck in those patterns much longer than they should, not because they're weak, but because those patterns were learned, right? They were
Right.
shaped by what we saw growing up, you know, what we were taught about love and sacrifice and survival. And sometimes, you know, by what we had to do just to keep the peace in our life. You know, when something has been practiced for years, it can start to feel normal, even if it's quietly draining us. Why do you think that so many women struggle with self neglect, overgiving, and people pleasing, even, you know, when it's hurting them?
Wanting to please other people versus doing what's necessary and what's needed to be done for themselves. Just continuing to, just be on the go. And what I've learned in throughout this journey and up until this point is sometimes stillness doesn't always mean that you're not doing what you need to do. And that was a hard thing for me to grasp because I felt like if I wasn't going, if I wasn't doing, if I wasn't pouring in to someone else, then I was missing something. But then the Lord had to, get my attention to say, no, sometimes it's good to pause. Sometimes it's good to just set in what you need to set in to be able to get a clear picture of what's needed to be worked on. So you no longer neglect the work that you need to do. So you no longer continue to put others before you and you beginning to continuously pour from your cup and then we get depleted. And I can't think of the whoever came up with this quote, but I see it all the time. You cannot continue to pour from an empty cup. And I had got to that point in my life, and I'm pretty sure many women that may be listening to this podcast or will listen can relate. If it's been a season in your life, a point in your life where you've constantly poured, and you didn't take the time to be poured back into. You didn't take the time to be replenished. So I would say no longer allow yourself to be neglected, with the thought of feeling like you have to be everywhere, be everything to everybody, when you're neglecting to be the most important thing that you need to be for yourself in order for you to go through the healing process that you need to go through in order to be able to get on the other side of being able to just be, so.
Yeah. And I love the whole pouring from an empty cup analogy. One of the things that I am constantly working with my clients on is, when we think about that cup, yeah, we're going to constantly pour. It takes energy and intentional effort to keep that cup full. But I just have to remind them that what goes inside the cup is for you. What overflows from that cup is for everyone else. So if you really do have the heart to be of service to people, you have to first drink from the cup and then, continuously and very intentionally pour into that cup, fill that cup up. So that way it is constantly overflowing for others. But at least if you don't have enough to give, you don't, suffer in the process. It's just today you can't show up for everyone else. Maybe today is a me day, so getting people to understand that, that cup is key in your healing journey, but understanding, what's inside the cup is for you. And then what overflows, is something that is a blessing that you offer to everyone else. And I know that, faith is a major part of your story and the work that you do. How did your relationship with God shift once you began choosing, keyword choosing, choosing healing and honoring your own needs?
Because before it was lukewarm and just being a transparent parent moment and vulnerable as I can be. I was one of those that was lukewarm, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And back when I had that pivotal turning point in my life where I just got tired of doing things in my own strength, got tired of doing things, thinking I could change everything, change everybody, which I know that's farthest from the truth. It just got to the point where when I had that moment, that pivotal moment where I was just like, Lord, a heart posture of surrender, where I got tired of being sick and tired. And I knew it was something more. I could just feel it. I didn't know to the capacity And I didn't know how to go about it at that time, but I just knew, because it was moments where I wanted to give up. It was moments where I just said, okay, can I get in my car and just drive and don't come back?
Yeah.
But I had children, and my children had reached to the age of young adulthood. Now they're out on their own with their own families. But it was a moment and season in my life where it was just that much, to where I was just like, okay, I just want to get in my car and leave. I don't know where I'm going, where I end up, but I just want to go. It was all me trying to take on everybody else's burden, but not dealing with my own.
Yeah.
Wanting to be there for everybody else, but not having the same you pour into that, that I was needing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until when I had that pivotal moment to where I said, okay, Lord, I surrender all. Whatever you need me to do, I'm ready to do it. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of doing this thing on my own. And when he saw in my heart posture that, okay, she's real now. She's for real now. So now we can get to work. And that's when my faith, even amplified, because I knew in that dark moment, nobody else was there with me. My children wasn't there. My mom wasn't there. My father, which has went on to be with the Lord, he wasn't there. Friends wasn't there. People I dealt with, on a friendship level, on a relationship level, what have you. Nobody was there in that moment when I was going through those darkest seasons of my life. Now, yeah, I did share with some friends some things, but some things you just don't share. Some things you just keep in the privacy of your domain, which is the privacy of my heart. And when I got to that point, I said, okay. And then when I was going through some different seasons of my life, and then spiritual warfare began to show its ugly face, and I didn't know to the magnitude of what that meant until I actually, once again, went on this healing journey and really started diligently seeking the Lord, not having a form of godliness no more, but having relationship. So that's where the pivotal turning point in my life began, when I got outside of religion. And it's not nothing against the church. I'm just telling my truth, right? To where I was able to no longer just have a form of godliness, but I began to take on a relationship and an identity in Christ. And when I went on this journey, the Lord began to show me things that I didn't see before. And he began to open up my eyes and awaken me to things that I didn't understand before, but I do understand now. Yeah. So now my faith is in God is even stronger, because I know in those darkest seasons, I know when I was faced against some of the things that if I even shared on this podcast today, people would look at me crazy. They would not even believe me, because the natural eye and the human mind wouldn't be able to conceive or understand some of the things that I have experienced because of the relationship and the love of God I have for Christ, and knowing that the mantle that he has on my life for healing and deliverance. So it's just knowing that he'll be a keeper. Yeah. And I know we hear that a lot, but he is a keeper. He will be a keeper to those of us that want to be kept. And it's free will, it's freedom of choice, just like you just stated a few minutes ago, where you said choice. You're exactly right. It is about a choice. It's about free will. He doesn't force himself on any of us. It's a free choice. We have free will. And it's just that I had went and endured so many things in my life to the point where I said, okay, that part was not working. That season of my life wasn't working. Me doing it the world's way wasn't working. Yeah. So let me step over here into the light. Let me step over here on Team Jesus side, and let me see what I can get accomplished. And every single, and not saying that everything is peaches and cream. I'm definitely not saying that. Not saying that I still don't have my days. I'm not saying that I don't still have my moments, because we do, because we know life be lifing. But at the end of the day, when I know that I'm not in this journey alone, when I know that when the lights go out, I can go before the Father in prayer, and I can get a prayer through, and I can just cry out and surrender to him, and lay it all out on the line, because he already knows anyhow. But just having that open line of communication to where I know that he's with me, and it makes it that much easier to be able to continue to go on this journey that he has me on now.
Absolutely. I always call those moments where that moment of surrender. I always say that's my take me to the king moment. When you think about Tamila's song, because she's like, truth is I'm tired. My options are few.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to play God. Where are you? Like, what are we doing here? And I think that, many of us experience that take me to the king kind of moment where we're just like, I know this ain't it. And at this point, like, I done tried everything else. Like you said, I've tried it the world's way. I fed into, the external validations and the social media. Like, I've tried it my way and it ain't working. So, like, let me go ahead and surrender. Let me see what this is about over here. Cause we've experimented with so much else. It's like, let me just go over here to see what's happening. And then, like I said, you just get to the point where you're in that healing journey, and you're beginning your walk, or you're being open. Now you're hearing your downloads and things like that, and all of a sudden, it's like I tell people all the time, like, suddenly everything looks different. Like, now it's that hindsight 2020. I see everything that I didn't see before, and now I cannot unsee it. So there's no way I'm going back. Like, there is absolutely no turning back. I would rather, continue this walk and this path, even though it's still not easy. We go through the same struggles that, everyone else still goes through. We just handle it with a little more grace, with a lot more faith, and the willingness, that choice, choosing to surrender. Like, we're not forced to surrender into it, but we choose to surrender into it. And, I think that a lot of people misunderstand the fact that that is a choice every single day. We don't choose to heal and walk with God today and then do something different tomorrow. Like, it doesn't work that way. Regardless of what life, dealt you today, what hand you got today, you still got to choose to get up and do it again tomorrow and the next day. So it's a faith walk. It is a journey. It is not a faith, ride. It's a walk. And, I wish that more people would understand that. And I think that, when people begin reconnecting with themselves, reconnecting with, with God or their higher power, that something powerful starts to shift, right? I think that's the moment where we really begin to hear our own voice again, recognizing what truly matters to you as an individual. And that's where I think people start to see their purpose more clearly. All of the distractions, expectations, pressures that once clouded their direction starts to kind of like fade away. And all of a sudden now there's like this deeper awareness of who they are and what they're actually being called to do. And I know that looks different for everybody. We all have purpose. There's a calling on all of us, but that looks different for everybody. For someone who's listening, who may feel disconnected from their identity right now, what are some signs, that you can think of that, they might be ignoring or suppressing their God-given purpose?
I would say something that they're really passionate about doing, but for whatever reason, whatever season they're in their life, they might not have the clarity or to be able to see it. So that's what I've learned with this journey, because I've always been that one. As we first started out, people came to talk to, ask, my opinion, or just wanted to vent. And see, I didn't know even back in grade school, high school, coming up, that was a part of my purpose. I didn't know. I just thought I was just being a good friend, listening to them being able to get out what they needed to get out. So I've always been that type that was a listener. And we know that it takes work to be able to listen. But I know we shouldn't open ourselves up to any and everything. But I would just say, what is that one thing that you would do without being paid to do it? What is that one thing that you have a passion to do without being paid to do it?
Yeah.
What is that one thing that lights you up that you do? That one thing that lights you up and gets you going. And you, at the end of the day, when you be ready to close your eyes, you have that reassurance in your heart and in your soul that you have a rest that, okay, I did that.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it only just for me. I did it for whoever else that needed that in that moment. See, learning on this journey of going or walking in my purpose and doing what the Lord would have me to do, no longer doing it my way, but walking in the purpose that He has on my life. At the end of the day, when I go to bed and I say my prayers, and before I close my eyes, if I have been able to touch just one person to inspire them and to empower them to go within and begin to do the necessary work they need to do within themselves to be able to walk in the assignment and the purpose that they have on their life, then I say, okay, Lord, I see what you're doing. I see what it all was for. I see why all of that, what I went through, I understand it even more clearer why I had to go through what I went through because it was for a greater purpose. It wasn't just about me in that moment, me being, angry or me being mad or disappointed or the pain or the brokenness that I went through. It was to build me up to the moment. And I would say this to anyone that's listening, is to build you up to the very moment that when you say, okay, I have that heart posture of surrender. Okay, I'm ready to go on this journey. I am ready to do the necessary work because I know that it's bigger than me. I know it's greater than me. I know everything that I have endured and went through this point in my life was not just for me to go through it. It was for a bigger purpose. It was for a bigger reason for me to be able to begin to walk in the assignment that's on my life. And when you get to that point and you begin to do that, you can be able to go to sleep at night and say, okay, it's a different feeling, and it's hard to put it into words and explain it, but it's a different type of feeling knowing that I'm no longer just being, I'm no longer just existing. I'm no longer just doing something to do something. What I am doing have purpose. What I'm doing have meaning, and it's bigger than me. And I'm just honored and grateful that the Lord chose me.
Yeah.
He gave me the opportunity to make the choice, but He chose me, and He chose them too. So that's what I would say to anybody, that if you are on your journey of seeking what it is for you to do in this life, I would say take a moment, take a pause, go within, ask the Lord greater power to reveal to you what it is that you were birthed in the earth to do. And when He began to reveal it, when you begin to get that awakening and you'll get that stirring in your soul, that fire that's ignited in your soul, begin to do just what has been put in you to do, and watch how your life shifts. And then once again, I'm not saying that's going to be perfect, but I'm just saying it'll be purposeful.
Absolutely.
And that's what I thank the Lord for, that He turned my pain and used it now for purpose.
Absolutely. And, I think that, a great thing for me to maybe add into this too is that, when God places a vision in your spirit, it might not make sense to everybody around you. I think that, that's kind of the running thing that I hear is like people have an idea or a desire to do something, and they talk themselves out of it, or other people talk them out of it, And so when God puts a vision in your spirit, it might not make sense. You might not even fully understand the steps that you're being asked to take. And, during that process, when you begin that to walk in your purpose, you're going to have people who will question you. You're going to have people who will misunderstand you. They're going to try to pull you back into like this old version of yourself that, they're comfortable with because, you're the people pleaser. So they want you to do that. They don't want you to grow. There's the people who are going to say that you've changed, and, people who just try to convince you that it doesn't make sense. But, the crowd, the people around you that are just kind of talking all the time, they weren't in the room when God planted that vision in your spirit. Those people didn't hear your prayer. They didn't hear your conviction. They didn't experience the moment where something inside of you, said that there's more to life than this. And so I think that it's a key thing for people to understand that when you're in this faith walk, God gives you the vision, not everybody around you. Because again, there's a calling for all of us. So what he's calling you to do is for you. And when you get that pushback from other people, that resistance from other people, you have to understand that it's not for them to understand. It's for you. It's what he asked you to do. There's no group chat. There's no how many likes did you get on social media about it. I tell people all the time, when God says go, I'm moving. I ain't got time. I don't care where we going. I don't care what we doing. If God says go, I'm gone. I'll see y'all later. I got some places to be. I got some things to do, and I think that that's one thing that, we don't talk about enough, how uncomfortable that growth can make other people, right? Like, we know how uncomfortable it is while we're on the journey, but I don't think that enough people realize how uncomfortable everybody around you gets. And, when you think about women who are starting to break cycles and they're starting to choose themselves, thinking about how relationships can sometimes shift, when you think about that, or even in your own life, how do you stay grounded in purpose when other people around you, like your family, your friends, the people in your close circle or your close network, how do you stay grounded in purpose when other people are struggling with your growth?
I stay grounded because I know it's not about just me. I know it's not about me. And it just goes back to that pivotal moment when I surrendered, when I really surrendered, because I went down that road of being lukewarm. I went down that road of people pleasing. I went down that road of worrying about what everybody else thought of what I did or didn't do. So now, even when I started on this journey about a little over 5 years ago, and really going through this healing journey, just what you said, I had people to fall off. And not saying that, there's any beef or anything like that or any love loss. It was just that where the Lord was taking me, the process he was, pruning, he began to do the pruning. He began to do the crushing. See, people don't understand, and, I'll say some don't understand that, like you said, the growth is very uncomfortable. And when you begin to go on that journey and you have others, that you love that's around you, and they begin to see the growth, and you just can't, I know I can no longer just, give up and throw in the towel or forfeit what the Lord is doing in my life to appease someone else, because I understand the seriousness of it now. I understand that this walk is not just tied to my growth, to my healing, that it's tied not only to the assignment on my life and those that I am called to, it's for my legacy as well. So I have to understand that when I have those around me, because I've chosen this path, because I've chosen to do the uncomfortable work, the hard work, because trust and believe this work is not easy, but I know it's worth it. So I stay grounded with that mindset. I stay grounded that as the Lord continues to reveal, as he continues to open me up to more of the mysteries that he has for me to learn, and continues to take me on this journey, I just refuse to allow the work that's been done to go back to what? And I say that in my mind when I'm sitting here thinking, I just say, go back to what? I've come too far and I still got a ways to go. To come too far to go back, because I have nothing to go back to. And I'm just grateful. So I use that as my grounding, that when those moments come up, because they do, because like I said, this is not an easy walk. The work is definitely not easy. It's uncomfortable, but I know it's necessary. I know it's needed. So I will not allow myself to even, I just won't allow myself to even give up, or just get complacent, or allow what someone else feels, or their misconceptions, or them not understanding why I'm moving a certain way. I don't even allow that to deter me, because I know that, like you said, like you stated, when the Lord said, okay, my daughter, you're ready now, he didn't have a conference call with
Yeah.
anybody else. It was just me and him in that room, and we, just beginning to do the work and going through the process. So I say it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
And when the day comes, my desire to hear is, well done, thy
Yeah.
good and faithful servant. So I can't expect that in hopes to live that out here on earth and then get the glory and have him to say, no, turn away from me, you worker of iniquity, I do not know you, because of me
Yeah.
worrying about, you know, ruffling some feathers, or me worrying about someone else being comfortable, excuse me, uncomfortable, because of the growth that the Lord is doing in my life. Because my prayer is that anybody that I'm connected to, anybody that I come in contact with, that they be awakened to who they are in Christ, and they begin to go on their journey as well.
Yes. And when we think about walking in our purpose, some people think that it means constantly pushing, performing, improving something. Like you always have to be grinding, explaining yourself, or, showing people that the work you're doing and what you're doing in your life is valid. How do we pursue purpose without burning ourselves out or losing ourselves again in the process?
Taking those still moments, taking advantage of those moments, those pause moments. And I'm learning this too in this process, that, yes, we are to work while it's day. Yes, we are to, put our hands to the plow, all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, we are required to work. Excuse me, we are required to rest. So when I get an opportunity to rest, I take the advantage of that,
Yeah.
because it's always good to rest, to regroup, to rejuvenate, to refocus, to reset. Because if you're constantly pushing out, constantly going, you're bound for burnout. So, and I know that walking in our purpose, doing what we are called to do in the manner that we're called to do it, we're not called to become burnt out. We're not called to become overworked. So I say, take that time when you have those moments, those down moments, those still moments, those silent moments. Don't take that for granted. Don't take that as you're not still moving, because sometimes moving is in the rest. How
Yeah.
can you show up and be effective if you are depleted, or if you are burnt out? Take that time to rest.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you've built your work around the concept unshakable purpose. What does living with unshakable purpose actually look like in everyday life?
Unshakable purpose looks like, in everyday life, not giving up, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unbearable. Unshakable is that no matter what life throws at you, no matter what you may be facing, no matter what season you may be in your life, understand that you have what need on the inside of you to be able to continue to press forward. But taking those pause moments, taking those moments to rest, taking those moments to reset, taking those moments to reevaluate, to regroup, is vital when you're in your purpose. So unshakable, I use that because that's basically the season that I'm in. Because what the enemy tried to use to destroy me, the Lord picked that up and used that to help build me. So now he's turned that pain into purpose. So I take that, knowing that even when there are times where I feel like giving up, I know I can't. When there are times where I feel like, what is it worth? I know I can't. When there's times that I feel like, what am I doing this for? I know I can't give up. So that's where unshakable comes from, because it's unshakable, not by my strength, but by his strength, and by the faith that I have in the Almighty God, knowing that if I continue to put one foot forward, he's right there walking this journey out with me.
Yes. And you're also launching, the Unshakable Purpose, Breaking the Cycles Academy, which to me sounds like a deeper space for transformation and purpose, personal, purposeful growth. It sounds like a place where people can, go beyond inspiration and really do the work. Identifying patterns, breaking the unhealthy cycles. It I believe, it's the kind of space that will help people move from awareness to real lasting change. Could you tell us more about the Academy?
Yes, Unshakable Purpose, Breaking the Cycles Academy. I am launching that. I have launched that program. It's a 6 month program where I work with you intensively, one on one, where we go through 6 months of actually going deeper. It's not surface level, but just going deeper in becoming aware first and foremost of those cycles in your life that want to stay on repeat, to keep you bound, that want to keep you shrinking, that want to keep you from walking in the purpose and walking in the identity that Christ has for you all along. So it's 6 months. Basically, you start off with becoming aware of the cycle that you have in your life that's on repeat, that want to keep you from actually growing, that want to keep you from being able to identify and the gain, and to keep you from gaining clarity on what you need to do or what should do with going on your healing journey. So it's broken down in months increments. And then the first month, because I did write that part down, the first month would be breaking the cycle starts with awareness, as I just shared. The second month would be renewing your mind, because how many of us know it's a mindset thing? We have to be renewed in our mind. And then month 3 would be choosing you without guilt. And that's pivotal as well, because when you're on your healing journey, that guilt will rise up because you will begin to put more time into yourself, more time in what you need to do for your healing, what you've actually put on the back burner for so many years. So month 3, choosing you without guilt. And then month 4 will becoming your own ally, no longer being your own opponent, because we can be that in our lives. Not so much as other people being an opponent against us. We can be our own opponent, refusing to do the necessary work that we should do to be able to walk in that healing space, right? And then month 5 would be walking in purpose on purpose. And then month 6 would be maintaining the shift. Because as you begin to go through the 6 month academy, the different month increments, and you get to that 6 month, transformation will begin to have taken place. And how do you maintain that? So that's what Unshakable Purpose, Breaking the Cycles Academy is all about.
Yeah. And so what kind of breakthroughs or shifts do you hope that women experience when they step into the academy?
I hope that they experience, one, become aware of the cycles that's on repeat in their lives, that they become aware of what they need to do to be able to take the time necessary to devote to themselves, invest in themselves, for as investing their time, being able to sit down and go within and say, okay, let me address this hurt. Let me address these broken areas in my life that want to keep coming up, that want to keep stopping me from being able to move forward into a different version of myself, a better version of myself, and an even healed version of myself. And just being able to not only come out, transform in their mindset, transform in their thinking, and knowing that they can be all that they were created to be. And then they begin to go on their journey of giving back, because trust and believe, and I'm a firm believer of this, as you begin to heal, as you begin to be awakened to what you are birthed in the earth to do, you reach one, help one.
Yeah.
They get there what they need, then go out and be able to give the same to somebody else that you're called to.
Absolutely. You got to pay it forward. I know when 2019, I think is when things kind of got a little dark for me when I had my take me to the king kind of moment. And I just remember being in that darkness. At that time of my life, I had my family. I mean, I had my husband, on paper, life looked good. But like on the inside, something was missing for me. And so, when I started going to therapy and I started doing, the shadow work, when I really started reflecting on things and I guess kind of becoming the villain in my own story. No, like you said, no longer pointing fingers at everybody. But when I really sat in that darkness, not to wallow in my misery, but to just really sit there and observe what was happening, I realized that, okay, you know what, this is going to be between me and God. Nobody else is going to be able to help me. I do understand that people are going to be sent, from God to help me along the way, but I needed to sit down with him and, really have that kind of conversation to say, okay, like, order my steps, Lord, like God, kind of like guide me. And I remember I made a promise, in that darkness and in that sitting there, I said, if you can just show me the way out of here, if you can just point me into the direction back to the light, I promise that going forward, I will make it a point to help other people realize the light is over here, because we're all go through dark seasons. We all, grieve and go through loss and experience life. But there is a way for us to still, just kind of know, even though it's dark right now, that light comes, like that whole joy comes in the morning. I never really understood that phrase until I started healing, and then realized that, the start of the day is not daytime, like we think, because when we wake up, God turned the lights on for us in the morning, but really the start of the day is midnight and it's dark, so we all go through darkness, but that reminder to just hold on, because joy comes in the morning. The light, will come back, and whatever it is that you're going through. So I always just try to remind myself of that. I look at the clock and I'm like, it's dark. Every day starts off dark, but if you just hold on, if you just hold on for just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? That light is going to come, even on the stormiest, most gloomiest of days. If you just hold on past midnight and you just keep, staying patient with it, it gets brighter. Things get better.
Yes.
So yeah. So before we close, I want you to have the opportunity to speak directly to, the woman who's listening right now, who may still feel stuck in a cycle that she doesn't know how to break yet. What would you want her to remember about herself, her worth, and her purpose right now?
Remember who you are. You're not your pain. You're not your trauma. You're not what people have said about you. You are who Christ created you to be. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are beautiful inside and out. So I encourage you and even empower you on today to know that you are loved, you are beautiful, you are a queen. Do not allow the tricks and the lies of the enemy to make you feel or think any less. I say pick up your head, fix your crown, and begin to walk in what the Lord would have you to walk in.
Absolutely. Coach Melissa, I thank you so much for showing up today, sharing your story, your faith, and the work that you're doing to help women reclaim their identity and walk confidently in their purpose. I think, this is a conversation that is long overdue. It is very much needed, especially with the way of the world today. I am going to speak for everyone when I say that we truly appreciate you coming into the room to breathe with us today. And, for those who, resonated with this story, and the work that you're doing through your Unshakable Purpose Academy, how can people stay connected with you to follow your work and to learn more about your offerings?
Yes, they can follow me on Facebook. On Facebook, I believe it's Melissa Wellman on Facebook. You can follow me via my website, Unshakable Purpose, breakingthecycles.com. You can follow me on Instagram, and that's unshakable_purpose BTC. And then you can follow me, I think that's it. Facebook, Melissa Wellman. Instagram, unshakable_purpose at BTC, or my website, unshakablepurpose.breakingthecycles.com.
Yes. And family, don't worry. We have the information scrolling, and I will be sure to include it in the description for you as well. So please, 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 if this conversation spoke with you, or spoke to you, make sure you stay connected with Coach Melissa. She has some amazing resources that are available currently. And I know that, God is doing great things in her life. So I am sure that there will be a lot more to come. So definitely tap in, stay connected. And again, Queen, I really thank you for showing up today and just, speaking your truth. And it does take courage and vulnerability to just, show up just as you know what I mean? Like not knowing what's going to be asked or, things like that. So I really just thank you for your time and the energy that you shared with us today.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And I thank you for the invite, for having me in this space to be able to share.
Yes. Thank you. And this will not be the last time. I tell everybody, once you step into the Room to Breathe, you are family. You're welcome back anytime. So as things continue to evolve for you, if you have new offerings or, additional things that you wish to share, step back into the Room to Breathe with us. We will be happy to have you anytime.
Absolutely. Will do.
Thank you, Queen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, family, this, in my opinion, was such a powerful conversation. I hope that it blessed you as well. Today, Coach Melissa really reminded us that healing isn't just about surviving what you've been through. It's about breaking cycles that kept, that kept us abandoning ourselves in the process. Again, so many of us have been taught to overgive, overextend, and, to keep everybody else comfortable while we've been quietly neglecting our own needs. But as we heard today, you cannot fully step into what God has created you to be while you're continuing to abandon yourself for the comfort of others. So if I was to leave you with anything, it would just simply be the reminder that sometimes the first step towards purpose is simply choosing to stop abandoning yourself. Now, before we go, let me leave you all with a little extra love and light. As always, I encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, the lows, and every moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even if it feels out of reach. And know that here in the Room to Breathe community, in our self-care family, you will always be seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I love each and every one of you to life. And I am praying that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. This has been another Room to Breathe podcast, and I look forward to connecting with you all again soon. Thank you.
Me, I found my